So this is the chacana. Chacana in Quechua means it can be a bridge, it can be like something to carry made from wood, yeah, and sticks. Yeah, but it has this thing of connection. So I made it in wood. It's a piece of wood. It's a piece of gum tree because there was one president here, uh, in very in the past, that he decides to cut native forests and plant a lot of gum tree, Eucalyptus globulus, so we can have timber for construction. Mm, so that was that idea. So now we have a lot of gum trees here. I wanted to do it in a native tree, but it was difficult because I don't have a place now to make that. And I was making a lot of noise here in the house, and they said, "No, do it in another way." So I have this gum tree, and it's also nice to have the gum tree because I know that with more diversity and more brothers and sisters trees, the gum tree also it's a beautiful help to restore soil. So here is my chacana in a gum tree piece, so I can take it. It's not and put it in my pocket, and I can use it outside. Yes. So now I will explain the wisdom of this powerful uh, symbol. And also, it is an interpretation. So I read a lot about chacanas. I like this theme, and I made like this interpretation of many people that talks about it. And mm, but yeah, this is the form. So we have the first exercise is some exercises that we can do it inside the home, and that are more reflective, more from the inner part. And so the first is that our ancestors saw that here the proportionality and the complementarity of the circle and of the square. So this is the first teaching, that they saw that in every circle is a square, and that in every square is a circle. They have some temples in a round way, and those were temples of the moon and of woman. And the masculinity were temples of that were as the squares and of the sun. So the first teaching is that uh, is about space, that we live in a space of pairs that are complementary. They are not opposed, but they can complement. And within one side and the other side of those complements, there is life of very variable ways, of diverse ways. So that is the first teaching. And that, so the first exercise will be to reflect about that complementary way of life. And we can think about woman and man, we can think about moon and sun, we can think about fire and water, and so we will can go deep in that. The second exercise, it talks about the, and also if you see here, before we can pass to the second, there is a dark area from this side. That is when it starts the cycle of woman, of femininity, and from here to that side is the cycle of men, woman, man, inner, dark, outer, light. So we think like that here. And also So the second exercise is about the how we space is and life is. The message of life or the essence of life is within us. So within the square is the circle, within the circle is the square, and here it will be another square, another circle. So it's like life is coming from essence and starts evolving to more complex ways in time. It's like within us there are many organisms that are more simple, but they have the same message and order. So that's another teaching, and that will be the second exercise of reflection. How we have and we are connected with the message of life. Our body is growing with that message. We don't need to know it to do anything. Life is moving with a message, with an order. So we are all related, but we come from the same message, we have the same meaning. That's the second teaching and the second exercise. So my second idea. And the third idea is about time. So if you see here, you have the first circle, here the other circle, and the other circle, and this will keep going. And that's a beautiful reflection. People here also think that time is like when you threw a stone in a pond of water. So that will be the third exercise. So we have to go outside and then throw a stone in a pond water and see how these waves of circles start to emerge. So reflect about time and how time is like that. Here, Kichwa people thinks that that action, the stone that hits the water, is like the first action of the universe, and then time comes from within the water. That is the Ukupacha, the realm of the inside. There is where the time comes. Then it comes to the moment that you can see the first circle in the water. That is the moment of here and now. And that is the Kaipacha, another realm. And then it will keep going. And you can see how these waves that were small are getting bigger. So you can see the past moving. So for us, and that past is our ancestors, and our ancestors are in the high realm. They are guiding us. So here we think that we can see past that guide us. We can see it from the moment, from now, in this realm of Kaipacha, and the future is we cannot see because it's occult within the water. That's another thinking about time. So that's the third exercise. The fourth is how the movement of the sun. So if you are here and you think that the sun comes here in the east, and then it will put on the west, then it will start going to the south. And here, if you have this angle is 23 degrees, almost 23 degrees, that is how far the sun goes in his path, and then it come back and goes to the north and then come back. So this also shows you how the sun walks on the earth. And there's another reflection, the exercise, go out and see where the sun is going. Go out for a time, for many times, and see how the sun is coming up, where he's going and where it will go. and how that affects your life. So that is another exercise, another idea of engagement. And then we have the first time of the year here. Here is September. For us, September is the time to sow. It's the time of the seeds, and is the time where the woman period starts. The woman time starts. Yes, with the planting of the seeds. So we plant the seeds on September, and this is how is because we are women and men of corn, of maize. So we follow maize or corn cycle to know where how it matches with the cycle of life of women and men. That women and men or human being in Kichwa is runa. So it's the life of the runa, the life of the maize. So we start with this. So here the engagement idea is to sow maize, and we have to reflect on what are the seeds that we are selecting, because the seeds are intelligence. There is no start or end in this cycle. Is every they have the intelligence of what they have passed. So we have to know what do we want to sow for this cycle, having in mind our learnings of the cycle that passed. So this is the third engagement idea, or the fourth. The fifth is about association. When we sow, we will sow corn, beans, and squash. Corn will be the structure for beans that will grow around, and beans will give nourishment to corn, and squash will cover the soil so it can have more moist, and it will help beans and corn, and they will help each other. So think about how the world works with cooperation. This is the fifth engagement idea. So also the Chacana show us every moon. It binds the solar cycle with the moon cycle. Each point here is a moon. So it has 12 moons. We have usually 12 moons in a solar year. We can have 13 sometimes. But here we can know the time by counting the moons. So this is the first moon, and in this month and in this moon, that is the same word in Quechua, quilla, for moon and for month, is the feast of Koya Raimi, the woman party or the woman festivity, maybe the woman festivity, and it's about seeds. And then beetles come in this time of year. Then we have the water and the thunder in this time of year. So yeah, to reflect, this is the sixth. Go out when it's raining and feel the water, how it permeates your body, feel how it will permeate earth, and how that is the fertility that is coming, and earth is embracing this fertility, and it will make this invisible hand or wheel of the mystery that make our plants emerge. And then there's another idea of engagement, come out and hear the frogs, because it's the time of frogs, and they will and think about that capacity of being an earth and a water being, to live in water, to live in earth, emotions and stability. That is my seventh idea, I think. And now we get to the time when we will put earth to corn, to maize. so it can grow firmly. So it's the time of growing, of adolescence, that this is also the other idea of engagement, to go to the to our chakra, to the place where we saw the maze, and we have to put there and think a bit about what are the principles that we are strengthening in our life to grow straight, to don't deviate, to see how are our principles, that what do we need to strengthen in our life so we can grow. And then we will go to the next. Well, here's when we have to sow barley with, because they need this time to dry, the dry sow. But there's another engagement idea. It's March, time of flowers, and it's here we have another festivity that is called Paukarraimi, and this festivity is Kapakraimi. It's wisdom festivity. Here is flowers festivity, and here we use water with flowers, we bath with flowers, so we can have all that creative power, and the creative power, because these are sexual organs, and it's the time of this reproduction, so it can form the fruit that we will harvest here. And yeah, it's how do we use this sexual or creative powers. And here the engagement idea is to work with flowers to make art, or use things in nature to make like flowers, and embrace our creative powers and love. This is like a time also of adolescents that are going into adulthood. And here then we go to June. Here we have to sow potato. But in June is the Inti Raymi, is the biggest festivity in the Kichwa world, because it's the festivity of the sun, is the festivity of the harvest. So here we reflect, another thing is to harvest the maize, reflecting of what are the lessons, what we are harvesting now in our life. Reflect about this time when we sow, and now we are harvesting. This is another engagement idea. And then is the time of the wind, because it's the time where wind and fire work together to dry everything. Everything is in a moment of peace, not much movement. We are resting. It's a moment of rest. Many things die, and they live only their seeds. So wind and heat have to work so the seeds can dry well and keep all the knowledge that they have learned in this cycle. And we have to select in this time the seeds that we want to sow in the time when the water comes in September. So here it's something that we can do as an engagement idea. It's go to a mountain, a place where we can feel the wind and learn what wind is telling us, to see how birds, insects, trees relate to wind, and learn the wisdom of wind. And here is another engagement idea, selecting the seeds. Select the seeds that have the wisdom of the cycle, and that will help us to sow again. So it has been 20 minutes. This is my calendar, Kichwa calendar, the Chacana. And those are some engagement ideas that I have from reflecting from this calendar. Thank you, Karen. Tell me if you need anything more for the assignment. Have a beautiful day. Thanks for hearing me.